The year is 1675 in New England.
The camera focuses on an old, tattered map, showing the fragile borders between the New England colonies and Native American territories.
New England, a land blessed by prayers and adorned with newly harvested cornfields. English citizens. They sought religious freedom, aiming to create a city upon a hill. But beneath the facade of peace, this was a battle between ways of life, a stark truth. New England could not sustain both.
The indigenous peoples, Wampanoag, Narragansett, Nipmuc, once owned this land. They taught the pilgrims to...
As the English population grew, patience wore thin. Taxes, white man's laws, forced conversions.
Focus on a powerful man, Metacom, or King Philip. His face is a mix of majesty and deep sorrow. Low-angle shot, emphasizing his stature. Metacom, son of Massasoit, who signed a peace treaty with the Pilgrims in 1621. But Metacom saw the truth. The treaty was being torn apart daily, faces showing deep concern.
Metacom wasn't inherently a warmonger. He was a leader cornered, face showing empathy and understanding.
He tried to negotiate, seeking to preserve his people's honor and autonomy, faces showing sincerity.
But the English wouldn't share. They demanded total submission, faces showing disappointment. They forced him to surrender arms, harassed Christian converts in his tribe. The pressure had to explode.
In spring 1675, tension peaked. After a friend's death,
Philip realized that if he didn't act, nothing would remain. Dark, determined eyes, face reflecting resolve. Scene, a secret tribal gathering in a deep forest. Flickering firelight illuminates tense faces. The mood is serious and determined.
The decision was made. Not just Wampanoag, Narragansett, Nipmuc, Pokanoket, all united under Metacom.
They fought not just for land, but for their cultural survival, faces reflecting pride and defiance.
What we often overlook is the scale of this alliance.
This was the first time the English faced significant unity among southern New England tribes.
Philip succeeded in building a common front against the invaders. His goal was clear: drive the English back to the coast or destroy them.
In summer 1675, the first flames erupted. Dark and foreboding sky, faces showing worry.
The chaos of the moment was palpable. Faces of African-American men and women showed intense fear as they looked.
June 18, 1675, Swansea Village, Plymouth Colony, became the first target. Overwhelmed with emotions, faces showing panic.
The Native Americans, moving like ghosts, attacked with brutality, catching the English off guard.
Recreate the scene: burning wooden houses, English musket fire, Native American arrows. The mood is intense and destructive, faces showing terror.
The war began with devastation. The English called it Apsat King Philipp's War.
The Native Americans called it the First Indian War. Regardless, New England was being torn apart.
From Swansea, the fire spread to Taunton, Middleborough. Isolated settlements were swallowed.
The most frightening thing for the English wasn't just the casualties, but the nature of the war.
It was guerrilla warfare. No clear battle lines, no large-scale battles they knew from Europe. A moment of...
It was an attack from all sides, at night, in the safest places.
Fear spread through the settlements. Survivors flocked to larger cities like Boston and Providence.
They built temporary fortifications, garrison houses.
The English were not passive. Under leaders like Captain Benjamin Church, militias reorganized, determined faces and focused eyes.
Benjamin Church, a tough man,
trained his soldiers.
Church realized conventional tactics wouldn't work. He used Native Americans, those who surrendered or were captured, as scouts and soldiers.
It was a contradictory strategy, but necessary for the colony's survival, face reflecting pragmatism. The unforgiving grip of winter held the land captive, a relentless barrage of snow falling upon the desolate forest.
In 1675, the war focused on the Narragansett tribe. Despite neutrality, English fear prevailed, faces showing concern.
False accusations and missionary interference drove the Narragansett into the conflict.
The Great Swamp Fight in December 1675 was one of the bloodiest military actions in New England colonial history.
It wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. Distaste etched on their face reflecting disgust.
English soldiers and allies assault a large fort on an island in a swamp, face showing worry.
Thousands of Narragansett women, children, elders were trapped inside, lingering on the innocent faces reflecting fright.
The English burned their shelters, incinerating hundreds. Estimated 600 Narragansets died, face showing devastation.
This was a devastating victory for the English, but it sowed deeper hatred, face showing remorse.
The brutality of the English inadvertently strengthened Philip's resolve. The remaining tribes had no choice but to fight. The war continued through winter 1675-1676, the worst period for both sides. The English faced severe food shortages due to constant raids paralyzing agriculture.
The Native Americans, hunted and deprived of regular food, suffered terrible famine, face reflecting starvation.
We often focus on battles, but this war was decided by hunger and disease. And the English had larger reinforcements and resources, though they were exhausted, face showing weariness.
The Native Americans, despite fighting bravely, couldn't maintain supplies while besieged, face showing despair.
However, in early 1676, King Philip achieved a major success.
Bold attacks on towns like Medfield and Sudbury weakened English resistance. Philip's face reflecting fear.
Philip remained an elusive ghost. The English are fearful, face reflecting fright.
In war, loyalty is a luxury. As the war dragged on, Philip's resources dwindled, face reflecting worry. Smaller tribes, devastated by famine and military pressure, began to surrender or even help the English for survival.
Show a Native American being tortured by English soldiers. The mood is grim and brutal, face reflecting agony. Trust was betrayed. Divisions arose among allied tribes, face reflecting fear.
The English, under Church's command, exploited this rift, showing smugness, face reflecting superiority.
Benjamin Church understood guerrilla warfare psychology. He didn't just hunt Philip, but also those willing to betray him.
It was a ruthless tactic, but effective. Losing allies, Philip became isolated, face reflecting loneliness.
Spring and summer 1676 saw the irreversible decline of the alliance. Many Wampanoag and Narragansett were captured, sold into slavery in the Caribbean.
A terrible punishment allowed by colonial law, showing their faces reflecting despair.
Philip and a small group fleeing through the swamp, faces exhausted but resolute.
King Philip, once a symbol of hope, was now a fugitive.
He and his last loyal followers retreated to their homeland, Mount Hope. Philip's face reflecting pain.
He knew it was the end. Serious expression, face reflecting solemnity.
The fight for self-determination had failed. Hopefulness turned to hopelessness, face reflecting despair.
Strategically, he couldn't win against the superior English military, face reflecting helplessness.
But surrendering meant spiritual death.
Philip's face reflecting sadness.
He had to fight to the end to retain some dignity. Determination in his eyes, face reflecting strength.
In August 1676, Benjamin Church located Philip's last refuge.
The English are sneaking into the town, faces showing determination.
August 12, 1676, in a surprise dawn attack, Church's army surrounded the refuge. Philip's face reflecting shock.
In the chaos, a young East Asian man named Philip, with a face reflecting urgency and wide, anxious eyes, tried to escape.
But a Native American in Church's army, a Wampanoag betrayer or desperate man, fired a single shot.
Slow motion shot of a young Caucasian male body falling to the ground, the faces of an East Asian woman and an African American man reflecting fear.
The first sunlight shines. A young East Asian man named Philip, his youthful features still.
Metacom, King Philip, was dead. His war ended in mud and blood.
His death wasn't just the death of a leader. It was the end of Native American dominance in southern New England.
The English had won, but the price was the loss of a civilization.
His head was displayed on a stake in Plymouth for 2 decades, a grotesque symbol of colonial victory. Native American villages burned, survivors led away in chains. The mood is desolate and oppressive, faces reflecting despair.
The war lasted only 14 months, but it reshaped New England.
Estimated 600 English died, a terrible number for a small population.
But the Native American losses were immeasurable. Face reflecting despair.
Thousands died in battle from disease and famine.
Survivors were scattered, enslaved, or forced off their ancestral lands.
King Philip's war to the English was a victory for God and civilization. But in Native American memory, it was cultural genocide and irreparable betrayal.
It opened the way for unlimited English expansion.
After 1678, no Native American force was strong enough to challenge English dominance in New England.
Back to the forest, now quieter, but heavy. Philip's spirit remains.
Did King Philip completely fail? Or was it just a delay?
His ecclesia is complex.
He failed to repel the English, but he forced them to see Native Americans not as savages to be civilized, but as organized warriors, face reflecting consideration.
He made them pay in blood for every inch of land they took.
Today, walking through the New England forests, one can still hear whispers, face reflecting worry.
The voice of Metacom, who fought for honor, land, and the soul of his people.
A final image. An ancient stone axe found under thick soil, next to a piece of metal from an English musket.
The circle of bloodshed closed. New England was safe in English hands, but the price of that...
King Philip's War is a bitter reminder that in the fight for land, there are no true winners, only untold stories and scars that never heal.